Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdats Newsstand, and today I have Bianca back with me for Bad Ideas, and we are going to talk about quite possibly the most requested series that I have ever had on this channel, which is quite amazing with everything that has come out in the last 3 years. But this series hit a little bit late, Arcane, and I have had people asking about it, so we were able to check it out and we wanted to talk about it a little bit. How are you today, Bianca?
I'm doing good. How are you today, Tristan?
I am good. I'm excited to talk a little bit about this, even though I don't know if people are going to enjoy my take on it. Now, we did only watch the first 3 episodes, and that may play into my opinion on this. I do think going further, we're going to see a lot more I do believe, obviously spoilers for the first 3 episodes, but I do believe we're getting a time jump at the end of this last episode, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So it does seem like what they wanted to do with this first little bit was introduce us to the characters and make us like them. Did it work for you?
I ended up not liking the li- um okay. So for the two sisters, it started
Mhm.
out that way. And then at the ending of episode 3, I'm just like, okay, screw both of you. kind of.
I
But
know.
then I'm just like, oh, at the very last moment, I'm like, oh, okay, okay. And I'm like, wait, oh no. Okay, so I like just from the opening, like I can tell that there's gonna be conflict between the two sisters, but I thought my prediction was that I knew something was gonna happen to Vandor, and I thought that the older sister was going to be like joining a rebellion of some sort, and
Right.
that the younger sister was going to be going against the older sister being in the right, but that ended up being like completely opposite from episode 3. Seems like the younger sister is going to be joining the evil people, and then the older sister, I don't know. Not sure if she's going to join the cops or whatever.
Like, she seemed that last little bit really I forget the blue hair girl's name. I know
Powder.
Powder, okay. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I kinda hate her right now. Like, she really there's a level of fuck uppery you can go to, but she went beyond that level. Like, there's a line you can mess up, and in the beginning when, we see them have that initial heist and she throws the bag, right? That's a level of fuck uppery you can handle.
She could have climbed the boxes. She could have
Oh,
climbed the
she
boxes
totally
and get on
could.
the roof. That's what I was saying. I'm like, "You gonna climb the boxes? I'm pretty sure the bag's not that heavy for you to stop climbing." And not only that, but it was stacked in a way where it was 1 box and then 2 boxes, and I'm like, "She could have done that."
The whole thing with her, okay. So before I go into the super negative stuff, which I'm definitely going to, the animation on this was something I have never seen before.
Really? You never seen it before?
No, I don't know if it's just maybe because I don't watch near as much of these IPs or, anime or I don't know, but I've never seen something like quite that. Like it felt like it combined like hand drawing and 2D and
Mhm.
CGI,
Yep.
like all in one.
Yes.
It was really cool. Like, is there other series out there that are that detailed and intricate?
I have seen some animes where, a lot of them are like anthologies, and then
Mhm.
every episode is a different, style of some sort. Sometimes they'll go like more 3D or more 2D, or sometimes both. There is some anime series that I've seen have done both in one anime. Like one part is CG and then the other parts are 2D. I don't think Star Wars Visions has done 3D, not that I remember, but they do use a lot of different types of styles on there in every episode because it's made by different animation studios.
Well, and I do know, okay, so I kinda lied. Have you ever seen Love, Death, and Robots? I think that's what it's
Yes,
called.
That's also another one.
Yeah, that one okay, so I haven't seen season 2 yet, but I
I
flew
have.
through season 1, and it was so like, every story was different, every story was really cool. That's the only thing I could, like would say would be even comparable, but it's not because, like you said, it's like anthology. They're all separate series, but it showcases different art styles or different animation styles, and I think that was really cool. Um,
Season 2 is
but
less hype.
is it? Okay. There that one story, I know it's totally off topic, but that one story when they were in space just got me. I'm like, "Oh my god, so good." But this was really cool. The animation was 100% amazing. There was, like nobody took the day off. Like, they were absolutely at their peak level here. With that being said, the story was really slow for me. The pacing was really slow, like, I got bored, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it's 40 minutes
It
each
felt really
episode.
long.
To me, it felt like maybe, like, when I get invested, passes by, so to me, it felt like 25-30 minutes instead of the usual 40.
Well, my thing was and I think it was me coming off of He-Man, right? Where you had action after action, like, oh shit
Yeah,
like, 2 oh shit moments in every 25-minute episode, so it was really fast paced. So
with
coming off
Dragon
of that
Ball.
well, Dragon Ball I've never seen Dragon Ball.
So I was saying, like, on Robert's comments of the part 2 He-Man that, I found the He-Man part 2 very similar to Dragon Ball, where there's action every moment, like, not stopping, but then you worry later about the writing, and you're like, "Okay, so the writings could be better."
Right, and I get that. The writing in this is good, it's just very slow paced to me. Like,
Yeah,
it does a really good job of world building. Like, you've got the top side people, and it's, like, clearly kind of, it's a little bit, like, on, capitalism and the people that are left behind and all of that, and I like how they really cemented that these people are kind of down and out, right? They have to do these jobs to survive, right? And I thought it was really good. I thought it was just a little slow paced for me. There was a lot of filler. I felt like um there was parts that could have maybe been taken out and it wouldn't have mattered to the story. But I really really like that we got what was his name? Vander, the father figure.
yeah.
I really like that character. Now, it is tragic what happens to him, but I think that a lot of times we don't see that, like, strong male, in
Familiar
a
figure.
show.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he's not their father, but he is, right? Like,
Yeah.
he is not only is he a strong male figure for those 2 girls, but he is for that whole, pack of little friends, and he is for the whole city. Like, he's keeping things together for the entire area, and I really liked that character. I thought he was like, the voice acting was phenomenal. I know Haley Steinfeld plays one of the characters, and I'm not sure which one, but I love her anyways. She's my newest girl crush. Um, but he was really great. It's sad to see what happened. Like, he was so good to the point where he was taking care of those girls, taking care of that area, and then saves them in the beginning and then sacrifices his life for them. Like, that is a strong male character. That
Yes.
is the character that grounded this show for me. And I think even those girls, because a lot of times I was like, "Are you fucking stupid? Stop doing this. Stop, listen, listen." Maybe that's the older person in me, but they're like out of control to a point. Like, and he was their grounding. And I don't know what they're going to do without that grounding.
I don't even know how old they are. Did they ever explain how old they were? Like, I'm like, "Are you teenagers? Are you, like, 17 through 19 years old?"
I think so. And I think Powder was maybe like 10 to 12, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. The ugly
But
crying is great.
oh my God. You thought it was great?
Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, that looks real, authentic, ugly crying." It looks like they actually, like, studied, like, like, there's artists who, like, study a lot of things to
Mhm.
get, like, the real life emotion, and that's what that feels like.
I kinda wanted to punch her. Like, it was I get it, like, kids, she's a kid, essentially. Kids probably do cry like that, but it was, like,
I cry like that.
really See,
It's not
I don't cry like that, I
everywhere.
just Oh, no. Now I gotta see Bianca cry. Um, but it was so weird to me, like, I really hated it because it didn't make like, I wanted her to be endearing, and she felt almost like a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Which I'm like, I'm pretty sure, like, we were supposed to be on her side, but also be on the older sister side, and then I'm just like, "Okay, whose side am I supposed to be on now?"
Right, it felt like they kind of divided your alliances. Like,
Unless that's what they
every
wanted to do in the first place.
what's that?
Boo-doo-doo. Unless that was their plan this entire time.
Right, and it probably was. You're supposed to be able to understand everyone, but then I'm like, I kind of understand everyone, but even at 10 or 12, I guess I wasn't ever in a situation where you had to steal or do this or, all these things to survive. So I don't know how I'd react.
Oh, I remember one time I stole, like, I think it was a piece of gum, and I didn't know what stealing was, and I just took it because I wanted it, and it was from Publix, and then years later, I found out what I did, and I started crying because I felt bad.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh, poor Bianca. Um, but like, I don't know what I'd do in that situation, right? So maybe I would be the whiny baby like that, but it wasn't Powder wasn't endearing as much to me as Violet was, right? I
Yeah.
kind of sympathize with her more. She's really trying to keep her team together, to keep an eye on her sister. She is a good older sister. And even at the end where we see all the death and destruction, I understand her yelling at her. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like
definitely.
that was right in the moment. Like later on, had they not been separated, she could go back and apologize. But in the moment, you you kind of understand she really fucked up.
She did, yeah. I mean, like, they all would have died, including Violet anyway,
You
but with
think?
her I think so. Yeah, I'm like, No way they were gonna survive with that purple monster thing." I That's what I think. I personally believe that they actually would've just all died.
Right.
But with, Powder's interference, Violet is alive, and that's it. And just one person one person difference. My favorite character died.
Which one was your favorite?
Clagor.
Which one was that?
He was the fat one.
Oh yeah, he was a good one.
He
The
was
other one was a
adorable.
little bit annoying. Um,
Meyer, or
yes.
Meyer, I'm pretty sure it's Mylor? It's what it's something like that, but I'm like, when before I started Arcane, I was, it shows a little bit of the voice cast before you start the episode, and I'm like, "Okay, I don't know why, but I have a feeling the guy who plays Sasuke from Naruto is gonna be in it, and if he's not, I'm gonna get angry." And then he was the one who plays that annoying guy, Mylor, or Mayor, whatever the frick. I'm like, "Yeah, I knew it. I knew you were gonna be in it. No way you were not gonna be in it."
Oh, so I just looked it up. It is Haley Steinfeld that plays Violet. That's a pretty
Nice.
big name. I don't really know the rest of the people, but the voice cast was amazing. And they
Yeah.
really did a great job. Like I would say the voice cast was better, comparing it to He-Man because it didn't bring you out of it. And I think
Mhm.
Tila's voice kind of brought you out of it, at least in the first part.
Yeah.
But I really think they did a good job with the voice cast, with the animation. It just felt like a lot of the story lacked for me. What did you think about like the upper class, how they did that with that character Mel? I love her design. So good. And then learning magic and how that was illegal.
I found that surprising. I'm like, I thought this was a magic world for some reason because I don't play League of Legends. So I'm like,
Right.
I'm thinking technology and I'm thinking magic, just like He-Man. So I was like, okay, so why is magic banned? Then one guy in the council was like, almost nearly destroyed my entire clan or race of people. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, why would you? I'm like, why would you want to stabilize something like that? If it all it does was, bring nothing but pain and suffering. But then I'm like, if you're a scientist and you like experimenting, then
Mhm.
that's just something that you just want to try and do, even if it risks your life. Especially with Jace and
Mhm.
his upbringing of what made him to do this stuff.
And I don't understand. There was one part that confused me with Jace. He messed with the magic. He is got in trouble for it. Kind of got a slap on the wrist. But there what was the like deal with the family that like the
That
upper
Asian
class fam.
girl.
Yeah, why did they need that family to take care of them? Is that what it was?
I'm like, I because of the animation, when I first saw Jason, the Asian girl, I thought they were a husband and wife, and
So
then
did
I saw
I.
them yeah, and then I saw them later next to each other. I'm like, "Oh, she's like a kid," or whatever. Oh my gosh, I guess she was, like, so far away, she just looked very tall, and so I guess to me, she was probably, like, some sort of assistant, maybe, of some
Okay, that
sort,
could be. Yeah.
'cause he had a study room. So
That makes more sense.
and then, he obviously doesn't live with his mom, so it obviously wasn't his mom's house. But I'm like, "Is it his house or was it their house?" And she was just maybe it's his house and she was just visiting, helping him out and all that stuff. Um, that's what I think.
Yeah, that makes more sense because I was confused what was going on with that. Like, I like the Jace character,
Yes.
and the scientist with the limp,
British
I guess.
accent?
Is his name Victor, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, anyways, I like those characters. I like that they're trying to go and get into the science behind magic basically because Vic or Chase was saved and his mother was saved through magic. And I like that they're exploring that idea and that we see kind of Mel wanting that idea explored too. I think that's going to lead a lot into a lot of trouble, I'm guessing. Um but I like the character. I think they do a good job. It doesn't seem like any part of that storyline is paying off yet. You know what I mean?
I think, episode 3 to 6, that's when the burning will probably start. I don't know, it feels like a slow burn right now.
It definitely is. And then the character was it Silco? Is that the bad guy
Yeah.
with the eye thing?
Silco.
Um, I like the evil underdog. That's kind of what he gives me the feel of. You know how like Riddler is very smart, he can do all these things, but you put him side by side with Batman and he's gonna get his ass beat. That's kind of what Silco reminds me of. And I like that, he feels it's not the relatable evil almost. Like it is the straight up evil. He is experimenting on a child. He is trying to, use this substance to make monsters. And I like that like truly evil.
Poor
And
cat.
I know. I looked away. I'm not gonna lie. I looked away. I was like, oh my god, no,
It
no.
didn't show anything anyway.
I didn't. Okay. All
No,
right.
you just hear, "Ah!" and then blood splattered on the wall, I think, but that's it.
It was a hairless kitty too.
It was a sphinx.
It was so cute. Um, yeah, so they're establishing like he's truly evil, right? He's willing to experiment on not only children but animals. Like I like his like evil layer even, right? Like he's underwater. Like it's so weird. Why are those fish so big? I don't know nothing of. I know,
They were talking about the water that has toxins.
and that's how he was created, correct?
Yeah.
like his eye thing and all that?
Mhm. So that's what
Okay.
I think it fixed, like, the fish too.
I think it's kind of cool, like the truly evil guy, but I don't know. It's just a very slow burn. I feel like the
I need a faster
cliffhanger,
burn.
yeah, and maybe it's just the impatient person in me, or maybe it's just I don't know. The end of that, I don't think had they left it on a cliffhanger, I would have continued the series. Like I think I was invested, but not enough. But then that cliffhanger, I'm like, okay, so did the cop take Vi?
That's what I think, because he was like, "You said that we weren't gonna do this and we had a deal." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Don't make a deal with a guy with a weird eye then."
So is the cops one of these enforcers that are initially kind of framed as the, bad guys? So is she gonna and then Powder goes with the bad guys too. So like this
Bad
could
versus
end up
bad.
yeah, this could end up just about anywhere at this point.
Man, I will never get over my favorite character dying. He was voiced by Roger Craig Smith,
I don't
which
know
made
who
it
that
even
is.
better. I'm pretty sure you didn't see that Sonic show on Cartoon Network.
No, I did not.
Oh, no, he's in Naruto Shippuden, though. But you're not
But I'm
on
not to
Naruto
Shippuden
Shippuden.
yet.
I know.
um,
I'll
I
send you a video, not a video, a
okay,
photo of the character.
okay. But yeah, I that those stakes are definitely up there, but this show to me, it I know this is gonna be super unpopular, but it's not worth the hype at yet. I will say yet. And it has nothing to do with really not knowing the game because you don't really need to know the game. Like if
Which
you
is great.
were yeah, like if you had no idea there was a connection to the game, you would be fine. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But besides the animation, it feels almost too slow. Like maybe in season 2 cuz I'm sure they're going to get a season 2. It's super popular, right? There's got
Yeah.
to be a reason for it. The only thing I can think of is we're not there yet.
Mhm.
There's got to be a reason for its popularity and it must be coming through in the next 6 episodes. Like did you happen to see any of the posters with the new outfits like when they're older?
No, I didn't know
Oh,
they even had that.
I seen it on cuz I watched before I even decided to when everyone was telling me to check this out. I watched Grace Randolph's spoiler-free review and she had the poster when they look older and the designs are phenomenal. Like they're they look beautiful even as, older. So the trailer sold me on this idea that it was going to be sister trying to find sister, and yet we haven't got there yet. I think that's maybe going into it my biggest issue. And I think it can get there. I definitely do think it's gonna get there. I just think it's slow. I know I keep saying that, but maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe I'm used to faster paced stuff, but overall, the slowness really takes away from the story as a whole. Like they should have had some stakes in the beginning to get you really invested and then maybe slow it down a little bit. You know what I mean?
Even slower than it already being 40 minutes.
No, no, no. I just mean like there should have been something huge in the beginning to get you invested and then they could go back to that, what it is
Yeah.
now. But I don't does that bother you the pacing of the show?
Nope, not at all.
I didn't think so. You watch a lot more animation than I do. So I think your
Mhm.
opinion is a little bit more valid than mine on this. Um
I mean,
I just
there is I have like, if you've seen, I know you haven't seen it, but there's an Chinese anime on Netflix called Scissor 7, I believe,
mhm.
and it's like up to 10 minutes each episode, and that animation is just incredibly fast.
See, that's what I like.
and it's
I
hilarious too.
What's the difference between a Chinese anime and a Japanese anime?
Oh my gosh. So one thing I will say for sure is the animation. Well, the thing is, like, they both can have similar storytelling, but
Mhm.
every country will have their own different type of storytelling, which, sometimes to me makes no sense when they would compare American to Japanese, and I'm like, yeah, but Chinese and Japanese stories are also different. You can't compare those. And then Korean stories are also different. Like they all have like can have similar storytellings, but overall they have different storytellings, different mythologies, different everything. So like they can have more of what different stuff than you're used to when you're
Right.
like an American watching only American things. Like, I watched K-dramas. They're not like our dramas here. They're more similar to telenovelas, though. Maybe not that dramatic, though.
What's a K-drama?
Korean dramas.
Okay. That's what I thought, but, like, you're so much more cultured to me than me when it comes to that stuff, so I just wanted to make sure.
Mhm. Like Chinese dramas, Japanese dramas, and Korean dramas. They all can have like the same cookie cutter stuff, but
Mhm.
like with different types of storytelling because of how
Now
their countries used to things or whatever.
now, where do you watch that kind of stuff?
There's a lot of apps. Like you can even have them on what's it called? Amazon Prime.
Oh,
Pretty sure
okay.
has some. The other ones I have are what's it called? Rakuten? Was that the name? Hold on, I have a few. Yeah, Rakuten, Viki, Asia, Asia, Asia something, because there's an app called Retro something, which is like the same brand, I guess, but different lines. And then some people just watch illegally online, like how
Right.
they do with anime and when they're reading manga. So
That makes sense. We need to do a whole episode where you educate people because I have no idea. Like I'm so Western. I'm like Marvel, DC, and I can jump into Shonen Jump a little bit. I know a little bit from Crunchyroll, but like I don't know the kind of stuff, so it's interesting to me. Um, but you said when it comes to like this type of animation, you've seen it before, so that makes a lot more sense.
if I compare like animation from like Naruto Studio Peridot to something like that's I guess would be similar to a shonen series
Hmm.
would be oh my gosh. It's on season 2 of that Chinese anime. Oh my gosh. The freaking name of it is weird. I should have it saved on my
I'm
playlist.
literally no help here. I'm sorry. I know nothing about and that's why I stick to my comics because even if I talk about it, it sounds disingenuous because I don't have the knowledge you do. You're totally
I guess
fine.
I'll just compare it to something like The Outcast, which is a Chinese animation. Season 3 looks so freaking hype with that choreography. Oh my gosh. But it that was kind of weird. But the king's avatar was what I meant.
Oh, okay.
Like
See, another thing I've never heard of.
like for a lot of Chinese anime, you can watch them legally on YouTube. Like it's literally just on their YouTube
Oh,
channel. But like uh Chinese with compared to Japanese, like reading subtitles and all that stuff, completely different. Holy crap. And I guess something like Miraculous Ladybug, which is French
oh, I know
animation,
about that.
uh and it's in translated in English and translated in Korean. Like I look at the English dub and I'm like, holy crap, they have to talk so fast. But the thing is, even Miraculous Ladybug has like 3 or 4 different animation studios. One Indian, one Korean, blah 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 blah. And I didn't know until I got recommended a video on that. and they're like, "Okay, so here's the difference," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I never knew." But unfortunately, they're no longer doing the Korean one, the Korean studio, which was the best.
Oh,
Uh,
no.
maybe because it's too much money, I don't know.
Mhm.
Wait, I got a question. Did you play Batman, Arkham Origins?
Yeah. Yep.
Roger Craig Smith, the one who plays that fat kid, plays Batman on that game.
Oh, seriously?
He's known for Batman voices, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Arkham Origins, everyone's gives shit to, but it was so good. Like, it was the voice acting in that was phenomenal. I love that game.
It's
That's awesome. I
amazing.
had no idea. I would have never guessed from the voice he does on Arcane.
He has so much range. It's insane.
That takes crazy talent. Before we wrap this up, I actually have a question for you since you know more about animation style and, different forms of animation. And I kind of touched on it when I did my Cowboy Bebop video, but I went into your opinion. Why do you think in America specifically or in the West, they do not take animation near as seriously as other countries? Like, you'll notice like a lot of the more above my age, I guess, would look at it as more, oh, that's a cartoon. That's not, I need to watch something live action in order for it to matter. Why do you think in America it's not taken as seriously as in other countries?
It's super weird because my dad, who's like 52, still feels that way until
Mhm.
we watch an anime or something like that. But like, it's so weird. Like, even if say, "Hey, watch Family Guy or watch The Simpsons," they still consider it as a kid's cartoon, despite it being very, very adult. And I'm just like,
Right.
"Are you blind?" Excuse me. But it's like I still wonder about that because like even if I show them like something that's animated and it's full of blood and gore, uh they'll still think of animation for kids. But if you're from a conservative family, like I am, they can consider that, ooh, that's too evil, with the too much like blood and gore.
Right.
And so they like, don't watch that. It'll affect you somehow. Uh, but like that's like conservative families, some conservative families, not all. My dad is more open to it.
Mhm.
Like that's why I can watch like the Psychopaths movie with him. That's why I can watch like Dragon Ball with him. But it's like he just prefers live action. Like for Cowboy Bebop, if there's the anime and now there's the live action, he would prefer to watch the live action because he likes seeing real people. Like it's not considered as good if you're seeing it animated.
Right. And I kind of get that, but yet in the last few years there's been so many good animated series that it's hard not to look at it and go, well, these are just as good. These are something that you can. And even when you're talking about Family Guy and American Dad, like I have a weird obsession with watching American Dad. I'm not going to lie. I put it on when I go to bed every single night. Like that is my lullaby.
The
um
song is amazing, so
that's right.
understandable.
But like I don't know if it's going to take, this demographic aging up or whatever, but I think at some point the Westerners or the Americans or whatever need to look at animation as a serious property because even comparing, like you said, Cowboy Bebop and the live action, there really isn't a lot of comparison. I've only watched 3 episodes and I didn't think it was the worst thing in the world, but it doesn't compare. Like, if you have a superior property, even though it is animated, then watch that property. Like, I don't know, you said about coming from a conservative family. Maybe it's the coming from a family that was more apolitical. Maybe that part of it is in
They
me,
are
but
definitely more apolitical, but, like, my cousins around my age, like, they have no problem with that. We just end up all sharing it because we end up watching it at a really young age because of, like, Cartoon Network in,
right.
like, the '90s. So like the 90s was when they were showing like a lot, but it was a lot of comedies on
Yeah.
there. I remember watching Bo 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 Bo, which is I guess a black guy with the blonde afro who does
I've
martial
never
arts
heard of it.
techniques, but the martial arts techniques are from his nose hair,
Oh,
which
all right.
you know the mom comic, Mother of Madness, when she was having like hair coming out of her armpits to
Armpits?
like fight or whatever. I'm like, yo, that reminds me of Bo 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 Bo.
Oh my gosh. I've never heard of that. That's so
The
weird.
theme song is such a banger.
Like, it's surprising me the more I learn about anime and manga how different they are compared to superhero comics. Like, I don't listen to purchase video generally if they're about anime or manga. I'm just like, meh, it's not my thing.
That's
I
fine.
listen I listened to his video about One Piece the other day and learned that I think it's One Piece. Yeah, they're the pirates, right?
Yeah.
And learned that it was about people eating fruit and it gives them powers, but they can't swim. And I'm like, why does that work?
I
Why?
didn't even know about the no swimming part at all.
Like, I don't get it. All these crazy concepts that you would never think would work. And it's like, it makes no sense. Like, Attack on Titans is these big motherfuckers that are half, skinned, but they work. Why does it work in animation and not in, obviously that couldn't work in live action. That would be so
I
weird.
mean, they already did the movie.
They did?
Yeah, a few years ago. Everybody was, like, really angry about it
No.
because, like, for Attack on Titan, everybody is, like, mixed European descent or something like that.
Mhm.
And so everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, Japan is gonna make a movie." This is before it came out, and I'm like, "Why you guys so hyped about the movie?" And they're like, "Well, because the Japanese are making it, so that
Right.
means they might hire, like, Westerners." And I'm like, "Why would you think they would ever do that? That makes no sense. They're not gonna hire Westerners." And I was right. The cast was full Japanese, which makes no sense because there is an actual Japanese character, but she's half Japanese, and she's, like, the only one possibly. I'm still confused between her family history and the other person's family history, which I won't say, I guess, because it can be considered a spoiler or
Right.
whatever. And so it's like it was just very confusing. And then, people are like, it was all right. And then the Full Metal Alchemist movie came out after that, years after that. And people are like, oh my gosh, are they gonna hire Westerners? I'm like, no, no, they're not. They're Japanese people. It's gonna be a Japanese person in a blonde wig. And that's what it was. And I watched that before I watched the actual anime series. And I was like, wow, this movie was pretty bad. And then I watched the anime series and I'm like, yep, that movie was pretty bad.
Oh my gosh. See, that brings us back, like, to animation should be taken more seriously. You shouldn't have to have the live action, right? Like, just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should.
Yeah, and I was watching a live of a voice actor. Uh you don't know much about voice actors, right?
Not
At
too
least
much,
anime
no.
voice actors, right? So there's a voice actor who is named Crispin Freeman, and he
Mhm.
voices Itachi Uchiha in the Naruto series, and Ebisu Sensei in the Naruto Shippuden series. Which I believe his first appearance for Itachi was episode 84 in the Naruto series. And somebody asked him, I believe it was about the Cowboy Bebop series, and they're like, "Well,
Mhm.
what do you think about live action anime in general?" And he was like, well, I think they should honestly, I don't do live action ever. Like, I prefer it if they keep it animated. Like, that's my take on it." And I'm like, okay, so he like agrees, and he's an anime voice actor. So it's not even like a lot of voice actors believe that as well. Like, they'll voice live action movies and stuff like that, but like they agree that, animation is just like superior to the live action usually.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there is an instance when it's not. Like, honestly, especially when it comes to anime. Like, oh God, that
I
just
will
no.
say though, there are mangas that have never gotten an anime, but
Mhm,
they have gotten a live action instead. So, like, there is manga that I read a long time ago. It was called Otomen.
mhm,
The reason it was called Otomen was because it's for girls. It's about these guys who have like very feminine traits. Like there's this one guy who's the main guy. He likes things that are considered feminine, which is doing chores, doing laundry, cooking,
that's hot.
cleaning. And there was one time he was like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't done laundry in like a week because I was so stressed and I'm like so frustrated right now." And I'm like, "Wow." And he has to hide that from his mother
Oh, wow.
because his father, the mother and father got a divorce. I'm gonna say that right there because for some reason I saw somebody on Tumblr saying that they were still married, and I'm like, no, they're not. Where did you get they were married? They're not freaking married. They divorced because of this. So I did not like how this turned out. I didn't think about it when I was young, but I'm like, this. I don't see how this works. So the father was talking to his son when he was like a little kid, little baby, um, and he was talking about beautiful things and stuff. And then wife came home and to check up on them, and he's like, "I have something to say." And he's like, For my entire life, I've always wanted to be a girl." And then the wife fainted. Stuff happened, divorce, and all that stuff. The dad later uh, comes in later in the series, and he's hiding the secret from his son that he owns a bakery and stuff, which can be considered feminine because they decided to do cooking classes for boys, baking and all that stuff. It was so adorable. And then once he talked to his son, he was like, "Okay, I now have what's it called? The courage to transition myself to a female." He just felt guilty, which is why that's the reason why he didn't transition. And I'm like, "Well, I can see how you say for my entire life I always wanted to be a girl," but they didn't explain anything about whether if he had like gender dysphoria or of how
Right,
his life was like. Just that maybe he dated a guy. I don't know. They never talked about that much either. uh, but I'm like, you could have done more explanations of this,
right,
but like he would talk to him, the kid would talk to himself as a teenager, like, I like all this girly stuff, but I don't want to be a girl. I just, I'm just me. And then
right.
he meets a girl who's actually the very opposite. She was raised by her grandpa and her dad. Uh, and her mother died at a very young age. So because of that, she got the characteristics of her father, which was always watching martial art movies, learning martial arts. She can't cook, she can't clean, she can't literally do anything, and she's a klutz. And so he ended up like falling in love with her. And funny enough, how they
Aw,
first met, she protects him, like, she beats up some guys even though he does martial arts.
that's so
So he could
cute.
have protected himself, but she just went right in. He's like, "Well, why did you do that?" She's like, "I don't know. You were just so cute. I just wanted to protect you." And so they
That's
have
so
this
cute.
so they have this little thing where she's the prince and he's like the princess because of how they're pretty opposite. It
Uh-huh.
didn't never got an anime series, but it did get a live action series, and that's all I freaking have. And I'm like, "Why isn't this not an anime yet?" My favorite character, glasses guy, does makeup. He loves makeup, and obviously, like, he has his family has a business, so he's considered like, what's it called?
The
A
Outcast?
disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, but that sounds really good. Like, that sounds like a story I would like to be invested in.
I know, right? And then there's the older guy, really, really tall guy, has his face covered. The thing he loves, flowers. There was this one
That's
girl,
so
she's like,
cute.
Who would you choose? Would you choose me or would you choose the flowers?" And he's like, "Flowers." No hesitation. He's
That
like,
sounds really interesting, honestly, like, um, it sounds oh god. If it was actually an anime, I'm afraid it would be hated just because it does sound like it's, kind of talking about your binaries and stuff, but it sounds very interesting. Like, it really does. I think it would be what's it called? Do you remember?
Ottoman. I still read it. I even bought the manga. I have to get the other chapter, which is my favorite chapter. Uh, uh, wait, you have Comixology, don't you?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, you can get it on Comixology.
Oh, hell yes. There we go. Perfect. All right. Well, let's wrap up. Thank you so much, Bianca, for coming on and talking about Arcane for a little bit, and then we talked about anime and manga.
I'm
That's okay though.
sorry.
No, no, no. I love it. I like it because every conversation with you, I learn a little bit more. I love it. So does the audience. So make sure you guys comment and subscribe. Let us know what you thought of the first 3 episodes down below. No spoilers. We will continue to watch it. I want to see what happens. Like I said, I am invested. It's slow. We'll see how it goes. All right. Thank you guys so much. We will see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.